My name is Kevin Jacobs, and thank you for being with me. And thank you if you have listened to the first two episodes. I really appreciate it, and especially if you reached out to me and said anything nice. I definitely appreciate that. So I hope everybody had a good 4th of July. I hope all of your appendages and relationships are still intact. One thing that's surprising, you always know that there's going to be an influx of accidents around the 4th of July time with common folk blowing shit up. And this is no different this year. This is coming from Vice Matthew Galt. The LAPD exploded a stash of illegal fireworks in the middle of the city. The LAPD seized 5,000 pounds of illegal fireworks for routine disposal. The subsequent explosion destroyed homes and sent residents to the hospital. Homes are damaged. At least 17 people are injured after they detonated an illegal fireworks stash on a city street Wednesday night. During a press conference, Chief Michael Moore, not that one, said that his officers believed that they could trigger safely the explosives inside a containment vehicle, but that they were, quote, more unstable than originally thought, and there was a total catastrophic failure of that containment vehicle. Now, when I hear containment vehicle, I'm assuming that this is built for bombs. And it seems to have had quite a hard time dealing with fireworks. Now, I understand that it's 5,000 pounds of fireworks, but how, you know, at what point, what does that compare to on a bomb level? I'm not sure. I'm not in a militia, so I don't know the recipe. But this just seems like something that shouldn't be able to happen. And I mean, thank God this wasn't an actual device that was going to cause, serious damage. But they just, according to according to police, they were responding to a tip from a concerned neighbor about a resident storing boxes of fireworks. While inspecting the home, LAPD discovered pallets of fireworks the owner had purchased out of state and had planned to sell for 4th of July celebrations. Of course. There were so many boxes, around 5,000 pounds of the stuff, police had to use pallets and forklifts to move it all to a bomb disposal vehicle. Man, I would have loved to have seen that. Whoever was like the cop that got stuck driving the fucking forklift while, just like a bus driver teetering on the edge of a cliff, just every bump just butthole puckering. Good God. So the containment vehicle, it was a semi-truck fitted with an iron chamber that's built to withstand blasts. Apparently not, though. Cops set off the explosives at 7:37 p.m. and the explosion destroyed the semi-truck, blew out the windows of nearby homes, and sent residents to the hospital. It also triggered the response of 75 firefighters. I really hope that LAPD is footing the bill for anybody that had to go to the hospital over this shit. Moore said, quote, clearly protocols were followed and pursued, but something happened in that containment vehicle, and that should not have happened, and we don't know why. We intend to find out why. What a non-fucking taking of responsibility by this guy. Holy shit. The deflection on this is crazy. Clearly, we all saw it, right? Clearly, protocols were followed and pursued. Something happened in that containment vehicle that should not have happened. It goes without saying it should not have happened. And we don't know why. So essentially they're saying, look, we did everything the right way. Something went wrong. Not our fault. We don't know what it was. We're going to try to find out why, though. But, either way, not our problem, really. We didn't do anything wrong. Which is just incredible. During a press conference, Moore said that the LAPD had found improvised explosive devices stored with the fireworks. Well, that changes things a little. Improvised explosive devices? I mean, what are we talking about? There were around 240 of these devices, roughly the size of a soda can or smaller. So, are we dealing with just some redneck who was selling fireworks, or is this like some fucking Eric Rudolph, Ted Kaczynski wannabe? Did he have a manifesto? Those guys usually have a manifesto. Ugh. The aftermath of the explosion sent residents to the hospital. 8 or 9 families were their homes were so badly damaged that they had to leave their homes. The man who housed the fireworks has been arrested on suspicion of reckless or malicious possession of a destructive device and is being held on a $500,000 bail. Now, I mean, I don't want to get too caught up on semantics here, but arrested on suspicion of reckless or malicious possession of a destructive device. I mean, if it's a destructive device, what other plans could you have for it other than malicious and doing such a thing? How could it be described as anything other than reckless? So to be suspicious of those things and also find 240 IEDs is doesn't I mean just that's concerning. What the fuck is going on? I knew that there was going to be a lot of damage done on the 4th of July because we make it, a habit of it every year. Just who would have thought that such a respected establishment with absolutely no history of questionable behavior would be the ones to really drop the ball. Here's the bad luck case of the week. This is from Newsweek. Groom dies at wedding at the altar in front of horrified bride. At the altar. I mean, that's something out of a movie, right? I mean, people had to think that Ashton Kutcher was about to kick through the fucking doors and be like, I got you guys good, didn't I? Because I wonder if anybody laughed, like panic laughed. I know sometimes when shit happens around me and like things go silent, I'll just like let out a giggle because it seems nuts that everybody hushed up all at once. I remember one time I was at a party in a house that I later lived in, and there was like 30 people in the basement smoking cigarettes, which is not safe at all. And one of our friends came walking down the stairs, and he slipped off the very top step and went ass over elbows down the entire flight of stairs. And he kind of just like laid there at the bottom, clearly in pain, and everybody got silent. And I think part of it was instinct, and part of it was me knowing immediately that it would be hilarious. I just shouted, "Take a knee," like you would in Little League when someone gets hurt, and like fucking sheep. 30 people all went to their knees without asking any questions, no nothing, and it was dead silent. And then, 10 seconds in, when everybody realized what was going on, and we knew that our friend was all right, then it was pretty funny after that. But yeah, I was able to. I guess I took the lead in coach mode and sent everybody into a primal state of oh fuck, he got hurt, take a knee. Anyway, so this this woman described her heartache after her terminally ill fiance died at the altar just minutes before they were due to get married. Terminally ill, yikes. I mean, so it's not like it was completely unexpected. Alison Wynne, 38, was set to marry her partner of 21 years in the Scottish town of Saltcoats on June 25th when the tragedy occurred. Paul Wynne, who has 11 children, Jesus, including 5 with Alison, was told by doctors that he had cancer just 8 days before the wedding. Holy fuck. This is pretty dark. 8 days. So, it doesn't come with like a complete shock. He was told that he had anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months to live. Okay, so he overshot that a bit. But to be completely surprised, I guess, would also be kind of silly, But Jesus, Alanis Morissette didn't have a verse for that one. Also, what's the etiquette if you're a guest at a wedding like that and that happens? And obviously there's panic for a while, but then once the EMTs leave and everything, do you ask when the dinner's going to be served? Because you probably already paid for it, and typically it's not cheap. Also, I wonder how people would look at you if you already left your gift at the table with money in it, and you were trying to slide out and what the thought would be on you. I wouldn't want to be the first guy to take a grab off that table, or even bring it up for that matter. But God, that's funny to think about. This is obviously terrible that this happened to this poor woman and her family and everyone there. I can't imagine having to deal with that. Uh, God, can you imagine being that bartender there too? Jesus, just not attached to any of it, and then there's probably some people there who like won't be able to cope with that shit, so they're immediately going to start hitting the bottle and ugh. The couple who got engaged in October of 2019 brought their ceremony forward from July 16th after hearing the devastating news, in a bid to ensure they could get married in the short time they had left together. Ugh, missed it by that much. If I had known we didn't have long, I would have tried to arrange the wedding for the beginning of the week. I mean, you did know you didn't have long. That's why you moved it to where you did. But I'm not gonna give this lady shit. As she was walking down the aisle, she could see that Paul Wynn had fallen ill and was slumped in a wheelchair. By the time I got to him, I called his name a couple of times. He didn't turn around. He didn't look at me, and I realized there was something wrong. And I started breaking down, and I started shouting his name, and we knew something wasn't right. Well, it's always funny how like when people are having these like highly emotional reactions, their brain sort of shuts off, and while attempting to convey what they're feeling, they also kind of slip in stupid, unneeded remarks. I'm trying not to shit on this lady, but I guess that's the entire point of what I'm doing here, or else I wouldn't have brought it up. By the time I had gotten my flowers and went up the stairs, everything seemed to be okay, although Paul seemed to be a bit uncomfortable by this point, and his kilt had, oh, we're in Scotland, that's right, his kilt, oh, that's a tough look. Dying in a kilt. If you didn't keel over. Everybody sees your balls while you're. Oh, God. Well, I guess the only way you can make light of this is that I hope everyone, I guess, other than how I hope everyone got their food, and I hope anyone who maybe went a little out of their depth with their gift was maybe able to recoup on their loss. I hope that maybe this young lady will find love again, um, with a healthy, non-risk taking person. Because I mean, if something happens, it's her, and I would say, she's a witch, obviously. I'm not really going to talk about Bill Cosby being released from jail too much. It's obviously one of the bigger stories happening right now, but it's this weird place to be where you want laws and things to be followed it when it applies, and then when it doesn't go that way, and it is following the letter of the law, but it's not the result that you would like. It's tough to accept it with as just being the way that it is, and not being too emotionally invested in it. But so there's two. The fact that he just announced a comedy tour, or that he's going to be going on tour, is a bit much. Like, come on, dude, just take the fucking W, go off. And how many years do you have left? Go off into existence and just try to disappear, so that the longer you manage to stay alive and out of the public eye, the less of an impact your shitty behavior is going to have on your legacy. It's fucked, but I mean, it might be a little better. There might be something that you could still hold on to as being appreciative of. I don't know, probably not. It's pretty damning, and it sucks when it's a technicality and that somebody gets away with something on. But at the same time, if you see some of these cases like making a murder, or maybe that's not a good example if those people did it, just an innocent person who maybe got talked into making an agreement or a deal or a confession for something that they hadn't done, and then somehow that was supposed to keep them out of jail, and then later on it didn't, and it was used against them and put them in jail. You would want that person to have justice. It just sucks that this time the guy getting justice happens to be a rapist piece of shit, and that's a tough one. That is a tough one. But who knows? Maybe karma's real and has a sense of humor, and within the week he'll just die, and hopefully a funny way. Choking on pudding would be too much, but I'm not ruling it out, because God, would that be good? Be surprised. God. So, a man in my home state here of Pennsylvania died while skydiving, and that's just one more reason to anyone who's ever asked me if I would go skydiving, and I vehemently said no. And when they would probe, well, why? And I would say, well, because my luck is pretty questionable with my feet planted firmly into the earth, so I'm not going to roll the dice on hurling myself out of an airplane at several thousand feet and hoping that all mechanisms fire off as they're supposed to, and then I'm going to safely land because, most of the time it seems that shit just doesn't go that way for me. It doesn't go that way for me, and I'm sure that 75% of that conservatively is just me being my good old me. It's just me being me. But since I am me, that's honestly quite enough. And that's all that it takes until I work on myself. Which I'm trying. Aren't we all trying? I don't know, but what are we gonna do? It truly feels like our society has like left the planet completely because again my news feed on social media, because especially since I started doing this and I've been looking for topics to talk about, my news feed has just turned into an absolute bloodbath. It's something to behold. It just shows, it's mostly just it exposes the true extremes of where we are on all sides of the political aisle. I'm seeing stuff about neo Nazis and militiamen getting pulled over on highways and retreating into the woods with guns, which that happened somewhere in Michigan. I'm not going to look that up if you're interested. It just happened a few days ago. It took them 12 hours, and everybody was patting themselves on the back for nobody getting killed. Um, and then you're also seeing things on the other side where, again, it's just more complaints about things that just don't seem to actually affect life when we have real world problems. Many of them, also many very pressing issues. And it's just sort of weird if you are like me and you are sort of in the middle as a casual observer, and maybe not even in the middle, maybe you are more to one side than the other, but you're generally outside of the lunacy that's going on all around you. It is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I was having a good time for a while attempting to change my social media algorithm by not interacting with things that openly made me upset. And it worked for a while. And they'll still slide one in there every once in a while, and as long as you take the bait like I did, and you click on it once, and you engage maybe one time with someone who is clearly being a mouth-breathing degenerate, no matter the cause, and nothing specific, just you're dealing with a stranger that you don't know who's being an asshole on the internet, and you're allowing them to take energy from you and then actually being angry and worked up about something some dumb asshole you don't know said on the internet. And it is nuts. It's tough to break, though, once you're in. If you're in, it's tough to break. So through doing this now, and I'm looking up news stories, it's starting to trickle back into my feed. And I might have to reevaluate my methods for sourcing this sort of material. So I'm going to look into that, because God, it was nice for a while. I had a good 2 to 3 months where I pretty much went dark on my own public social medias, just out of pure need to do it. I suggest everyone do it. Maybe not now, because I need you to be on the other ends of my promotions for these things, but it's good to take a break. It's good to disconnect. I'm 34 years old, and it is crazy to think about where we are now, and I feel like the old man yelling at the clouds when I talk about remembering a simpler time when we didn't have cell phones on us. And I think that there's a lot to that when they talk about 90s kids and kids who grew up in the 90s, and there's always so much nostalgia for things 90s. You see it everywhere. Even in the marketing, they're bringing something back, and it's like, why? Because I know a lot of people my age who are, maybe they're happy for the most part, but there's a lot of complacency. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of sadness and mental illness, and it's just weird to think that, growing up in the 90s, you didn't have to deal with any of that. You remember a simpler time. You remember having to wait until you got home to find out if anybody left a message on your answering machine, or, even once the internet came out and it was only limited to your computer, you had to wait until you got home and signed into America Online with your 17th free trial disc to actually check your email and see if anybody. And now I'm saying that generally for everybody else. I was 10. Nobody was emailing me, and if they were a Nigerian prince or a pedophile. So, but you know what I'm saying. It was we grew up during a simpler time, and then during one of our more formative ages, the internet did come out, and that sort of changed everything. And we were like, all right, we got to go back. We got to adapt to this, and then we started to live lives that were associated with the internet, and we were the generation to adopt it. But then in our teenage years, once we had become acclimated with all that, smartphones started to make their debut, or cell phones, started to get a little bit more fancy, and then into the smartphone age, and again, everything, having access to everything, the rug got pulled out from underneath us again, and we were forced to sort of readapt during a time where we're becoming, socially aware of ourselves, and we had to figure it all out again, and it's just interesting to wonder if that sort of has any psychological impact on why so many of us are so fucked up. But also, maybe it's the GMOs in your food, or the sugar, or the fake sugar, or the name any other thing that is enjoyable to you in your life, because that's probably bad too, and it is going to kill you. And my attitude has always been, but we're all going to die. You see people who take care of themselves and eat healthy, and they don't smoke, and they exercise, and then they have a fucking brain aneurysm at 38. And then there's the old man who says words you wish he wouldn't say, that smokes 2 packs of Winston's a day, and lives to be 97. If you get happiness out of doing those things, then great. But if it's miserable to you to live that way, like, I'm sort of just of the opinion, like, well, I think you got a number out there. You got a day. That's your day. And there's no sense in. Do not listen to a word that I'm saying. Everything you're hearing right now, this is my own bullshit rationalizations on why I can have the palate of a 10-year-old and eat like shit and not exercise and smoke and drink and just generally not take care of myself at all. So I am not a doctor, obviously. And but that's my own bullshit, and I'm gonna stick to it. It is so hot in here. I have to turn all the air conditioners off because you can fucking hear everything when I'm doing this, and God, it's just, I'm starting to sweat. So now I'm in a position where I am sitting in a room by myself, sweating, not yelling. I'm getting a little loud by myself. And it's strange, if you know, I play music too, and I played in a loud, obnoxious hardcore band for a long time, still do. And it seems like a lot of my hobbies are things that in any other venue than the one that you do them in, the behavior would get you institutionalized. He's playing in a loud hardcore band, rolling around on the floor, screaming at the top of my lungs. That's the only place where that's sort of accepted. Hang on, guys. Fucking Tron is taking place outside my window right now. So, like, playing in a band, rolling around on the floor, screaming into a microphone, or just screaming in general, any other situation other than a show, a band playing a show, someone is calling the authorities. And on that same note, generally speaking, if anyone observed anyone talking to themselves in a declarative fashion like I might be, again, another reason that you would want to maybe get that person off the fucking streets. But here I am, leaning in. You gotta turn it into something. You gotta have a little pizzazz to your mental health issues. Spice it up. No, go see a doctor or talk to a therapist. I'm fine comparatively to most people who actually suffer with things. But if you're listening at all, no, I'm not. I've been looking around at like car prices, and everybody always, when they were talking about the economy crashing, they were always talking about like, you're gonna be fucking paying for a loaf of bread with a goddamn wheelbarrow full of cash if it keeps going this way. And it's like they were sort of right, they were half right, but now you have to like mortgage your house if you want to buy a Toyota. It's not quite the same, but it's similar. So that's about it for today. I'm going to cut this one a little bit short, mostly because I am sweating profusely and I hear my neighbor firing up his weed whacker. So because of that, I am going to promise to have another shorter episode, most likely, maybe not, who knows. Sometime I'm going to record that over the weekend, and I'll have that out Monday or Tuesday to make up for it, and then the normally scheduled programming. So just more content for you. Ugh. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to promote myself on this still. It's so, yeah, if anybody who knows me, they know that even like asking people to share links for things that made me money that I was trying to promote, or things that I had worked really hard on and wanted people to validate for me. I'm just very weird about promoting myself. It's just it's strange. And this is only the third time I'm doing this. And I had 2 beers before I did it because I was on my high horse, and I started recording this one time, and I failed about 12 minutes in, literally as I was speaking the words about how, oh, well, the thing about this is I don't edit this podcast at all. I've been going start to finish, first 2 episodes, Chris Angel, one continuous shot, no tricks, no edits. Within 2 minutes of me speaking those words, I realized that there was something horrifically wrong with the input on my microphone, and it actually wasn't picking up. So, fuck me, right? Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.